them come. This is their fate.
Another week. All right. Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. I'm your host, Deontay. Here are my near and dear friends, Jalen and Josh. Today, we really ain't got much to talk about, so we going to be spitballing a lot of it. No, we got some stuff, but we ain't got much. So pretty short and, I don't know, slow week in gaming outside of bad news, which... all honesty, I'm tired of covering, but we got more bad news, a little bit more bad news, to talk about as well. But before we get started, per usual, Jalen, Josh, tell the people how you been, what you've been up to, what you've been doing, how's life going, what you've been playing. Talk to the people.
Yeah, it's another week with us. For me, my family and I have been just chilling. It's middle of the summer here, so we've been out to a few parks. Japan has a lot of, I guess, big parks that are well taken care of. Not a lot of like small parks with swings and stuff like that, but more bigger things that the whole family can do.
Okay.
Go to different like flower gardens or like
You got to start a blog so I can follow it. So when I go to Japan, I know which ones to go to, which ones not to.
Yeah, I should. I've been taking a lot of pictures. I just have the thing about having a camera. You take a lot of pictures, but then you got to go and take time to sort through all of them.
Oh yeah,
and that's the annoying part.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to put them all on my computer at some point, sort through them, and then like like I said, compile them into a shareable form. Send them to people. But yeah, a lot of nice nature, which is good. Other than going out and hanging with the family, haven't played a lot of new games this week.
Okay.
Finished off Stellar Blade.
Okay.
Not a whole lot to say about it, other than I think so I'll start with the positive points. The music, like I mentioned before, music's very good. I actually found out it's the same person that did the music for Nier Automata. So
Okay.
they both have that in common, but the music's very good. The combat, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite, but it was still very fun. I think the regular enemies, I was starting to get bored of them, but once I start to get to the later bosses, it was more interesting. The big monster bosses, they're still the same thing like you fought in the demo, where they're gonna do their big attacks, you're gonna dodge them or block. But I was stuck on one boss for literally 2 hours.
Oh wow.
It's a boss at the end of the game, and all will say is that the big monster boss is kind of like Dark Souls, where you fight a dragon or something. You kind of just dodge and hit him in his feet and stuff like that. But when you fight human enemies that are your same size and they have similar abilities that you have, that was the most interesting fight in the game.
Okay.
I had to really pay attention to the moveset, try out a couple different kind of like build ideas to really push the abilities that were effective.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
Okay.
And then the story is stupid. It they kind of like meander for a while, seem like that maybe we're going to do something interesting, maybe there might be a twist or something, and then you get to the end and it's like, oh well, actually this is stupid. And it's not stupid that how to put it, that it's hard to understand. It's stupid that this was your idea with what you were doing the whole time, with the whole Adam and Eve stuff. Okay. But yeah, it was stupid. Which is fine. I think the game was successful, and I can see them doing a sequel or pushing or something like that. As far as the sequel, I don't think there's anything worthwhile continuing in the story, but they might, just make something up and continue it. Overall, though, I would say it was a fun game.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it's a Souls-like. A lot of people say that. It's not really Souls-like. There's nothing like related to that other than hard bosses. I would compare it more to like a Devil May Cry or like a sort of a Bayonetta, but also like Nier, because Nier has side quests. Because the game is actually pretty short. Like if you're doing the main quest, it's like 10 hours. But if you're
Oh,
doing the
okay.
side quest stuff, I spent like 30 hours total. But that's just because I was doing the side quest, so that I can get like the true ending or whatever. Uh, but after I did all of that, I just basically flew to the end in like 4 hours. Because the game was actually pretty short. Uh,
Gotcha.
but overall, it's pretty good. I would compare it to like a Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. I still think like the Bayonetta games and Devil May Cry games are better overall
Mm-hmm.
packages. It's like combat and abilities and stuff like that. But it was a pretty good game. I think it landed a lot better than a lot of other games that are similar genre that aren't as good as like Bayonetta and stuff like that. So
Okay.
if it's on discount, I would say, give it a try. I think the combat is fun enough that you'll probably finish the game. Yeah. Other
Yeah.
than that, still playing Hades. Oh, my bad. We can, if you had anything to say about Stellar Blade.
No, I don't really have anything to say. I guess you kind of summed it up pretty well in regards to the overall my thoughts around it, and whether or not I'll be picking it up or not really just depends on the portability of access to it. So at some point in time, if it's in some type of portable format, I'll probably pick it up and play it. But until then, I went back to just play Devil May Cry 5 because I can play it on my Legion Go. So I'm really, unfortunately, I'm tied to having my gaming experiences be either streamed or accessible on a portable device. And honestly, yeah, I don't think it was worth it at that time to spend that money on Stellar Blade when I know I won't probably get around to playing it because I got plenty of other things to kind of hold me over until I get back to playing that game. So, same thing with Spider Man 2. I still ain't played that either, but once I get access to it, I might stream it to my Legion and just play like that, or my deck, whatever, whichever one's um, closest to me, I guess. Because I did fall back in love with my Legion Go, by the way, over the course of the last 4 days. But I'll talk
Mhm.
about that on my spot. But you said you was playing Hades too, or
No,
Hades One?
Hades 1.
Oh, okay,
I'm still trying to finish the story because to finish the story, you got to beat Hades 10 times. And I beat him like 5 times so far. I mean, they are giving more story the more times that you beat them, but you still got to go through it a couple times.
gotcha.
Once I'm done with that, I might pick up Hades 2. I might not. It depends. Since it's in early access, I kind of I think the game is in a good place, but with
Hmm.
them also dropping more DLC, I don't know if I'm gonna want to jump back in every month or two to play more of the game, or if I would just rather wait until it's all out. But we'll
And
we'll see once I
available.
finish Hades.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Jalen? What you been up to? What you been doing?
Shoot, I ain't been on. When you say I ain't been on nothing, you
Yeah,
gonna say something if I say something?
You already know. I was gonna say something. I could predict it. I could read your mind. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I've been doing a lot. No, just one.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So I mean,
Curveball.
I haven't been doing too much of anything specifically. I mean, it's Mother's Day this past weekend, so shout out to all the moms holding it down out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to my OG.
My
OG is another
OG.
word for mom. For y'all who don't know, shout out to my OG. She here now. She been here for the past week, so it's been a pleasurable experience. Mother's Day actually fell on my brother's birthday this year.
Oh,
For
okay.
everybody, I think Mother's Day is usually like the second Sunday of or yeah, the second Sunday of May. So my brother's birthday is just obviously dates rotate with the days and stuff like that, but Mother's Day is always on a Sunday. So um, yeah, so that's been cool. Got to spend some time with my mom and stuff like that. Spent a little bit of time with my family. Um, Still doing little TikToks and stuff like that. So yeah, but everything cool.
Yeah.
As far as like game wise and stuff like that. I think I had mentioned probably we had talked about it last week that I had beat Fallen Order. And then I recently just picked up Final Fantasy. and Helldivers. So I'm gonna try to play Helldivers and stuff like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I looked at probably like 2 minutes of gameplay, but I was like, I just give it a shot. Final Fantasy. I just started playing that. I'm not too far in or anything like that. I'm literally at the part where I'm like, hey, I need to figure out how to skip this Nibelheim part. And I remember Deontay making a fuss about it. I just got to figure out which part I can. When do it give me the option to skip it? So I don't got to replay that part. So other than that, I mean, not a whole lot of things going on game wise. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really any games that I was like really tempted to buy and stuff. Final Fantasy is like the biggest one on my radar, and I waited 2.5 months to get it. So finally got it in my possession, and I'm go ahead and play it and stuff when my mom leaves. She leaves tomorrow, so try to get back to my regular scheduled activities like working out, hooping and stuff like that, and then trying to play a little bit of Final Fantasy. So, but I
Okay.
mean, other than that, man, I mean, I'm trying to think. Everything else in life like is going smooth. I ain't got no complaints, man. So, and I've been playing more games than what I used to because remember I ain't had no games to play. Or I
You,
had games to play, but I wasn't gonna touch them joints.
you weren't paying
Persona
attention
set
to
me
none
on a
of them.
different trajectory.
Yeah.
So, why you pick up so many games at once? You got them on sale.
One a multiplayer game and one is a single player game. So I picked up two.
I mean,
I got one to play with y'all, and I got one to play
one
when
game a
I ain't
year.
know. You said
Right.
what?
You
you
used to do one game a year.
Mr. One Game a Year, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, let me stop being like that and do something a little different. So I was just like, I get another game. So
He said, I don't got
here
no
we is.
explanation for you. I just picked up too. I just had to change your heart. All right, G. But
It's cool.
I don't like
Helldivers is
spending money
fun.
on games and stuff. So like that'd be my biggest thing. But they kind of get expensive. But you can
where did
find them
you
cheap and stuff. And I spend them. Huh?
where'd you buy your Helldivers? What system?
PlayStation.
Oh, okay. I forget it's
Yeah.
only on
So
PlayStation and PC. Never mind.
yeah. Otherwise, I just bought it on Xbox. I mean Xbox. So.
You call that mug Death Box. We're gonna talk about them in a little bit anyway. Um, okay, well, outside of that, anything else to share before I go into my plans or what I did? Really, I ain't had no plans.
Nah, y'all go ahead and do your thing.
All right. So, for me, I mean, I wasn't really doing a lot either. I was pretty much holding down the fort at the house, ran a few errands. I ain't buying. I've been playing a lot of so I really ain't did much outside the house. Outside of I got carpenter ants, so I gotta figure out how to get rid of them, and I gotta call exterminator, which is very fun, especially when they try to. Oh, we got a monthly plan. I'm like, bro, I don't want your monthly plan. I just want you to take care of the problem, and then I call you every 6 months to spray again. Monthly plans sound like a scam to me. So every time someone said it, I was like, well, I only got one quote. I got to get a few more quotes, but yeah. Anyways, home ownership. Got carpenter ants. Got to get rid of them. What else? Outside of that, I've been playing my Legion Go again, as I just stated. I have I appreciate it simply because of the screen and like being able to like have a really nice and enjoyable experience and not have to like squint my eyes to read text or not be distorted because it's only 800p. The OLED is great on the Steam Deck, but it just doesn't compare when you're able to run games at 1080p or even at 800p because the screen is so high resolution. It upscales to make it look even better than what it is at running when it's running at 800p. So, I've been playing a lot of Prince of Persia: Lost Crown on it. Literally haven't turned it off in 2 days. I just keep resting it. Um, it's probably been like 3 days now, but I put in like 30 or so hours now. The game is longer than I expected, much longer than I expected. But it's really really fun. It's really really challenging. A lot of the puzzles, a lot of the fights, as you were kind of mentioning, Josh, about having to kind of change up your build or try to use different amulets to kind of build out your character a different way for different fights, like long range people, close range, all that good jazz. I feel like there's a lot of customization to how you play, and cool things like that. And you just keep getting added on to it, and adding on to it, and adding on to it, so you can go back and like, go back to different areas and re-explore basically. I don't feel like I'm doing too much backtracking. I feel like there's a lot of new experiences to be had. There is some situations where now I'm trying to go and clear the map, which is probably taking me more longer to beat the story than not. But at the same time, there's just a level of appreciation for just the discovery in the game. I feel like there's a lot of appreciation right now for me and discovery in that game. So I'm really, really liking it. It's definitely one of my favorites, probably going to be for the year. I don't really have like a list, but right now I've been playing a couple of different games, and this one stood out the most to me, and I was able to get it for $20. So you can probably still get it for 20 right now. I think Ubisoft is doing like a special. So if you guys hear this, probably want to go check it out on the PC version, you can definitely get it for 20. I don't know about the console version. I think they're like 25. I've seen a few places. But yeah, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, really good game. Really highly recommend it. And I've been playing a lot of it, and I've been enjoying it. Outside of that, really, I don't know if I told y'all about me having to do my wisdom tooths, get them pulled. I got to get my right and my. Nah, I don't think I told y'all. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyways,
I got talked to me on the phone yesterday about it, right?
Yeah, I talked to you. Yeah, I did talk to you. You're right. I did talk to you about the pain, and like, cause I was trying to get it done like before, like in the middle of the week or whatever, and I was like, I don't know if I should do that. So I did end up rescheduling it because I was supposed to get it done tomorrow, or technically today when y'all hear this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm probably have to reschedule it, and I'm gonna try to see what was the problem with him taking all four out, because this one of them is buried on my left side is buried, and the other one on my right side is buried too. But technically, one is more than the other, and he said he didn't want to touch it, and I guess I was kind of confused around why he didn't want to just take them all out at the same time. But so I'll probably get some clarification around that. Maybe try to figure out why he recommends not getting it pulled out versus, most people would just say yank them all. But his recommendation was not to, and just do the three, the top two and the bottom one to the right. So that's planned. And with any type of toothache sucks. If you don't know, they suck. So I did have some type of infection, but I took some pills, amoxicillin really, basically to kill the infection. But now I feel a lot better, but I still need to get this removed in order for that not to occur again. So that's another one of those things that's curveball that came out of nowhere, just started hurting after I got really sick that last 2 weeks. Once I got sick, I think it got infected from something. And then once it got infected, it started painfully throbbing. So I had to do an emergency dentist appointment. But then after I took the medicine and everything, it started to feel a lot better. So still planned to go get that done though. Too much. Y'all probably didn't even know all that, but we share things here. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing this whole week is rescheduling stuff and putting out weird little fires across the house and health-wise. But in the meantime, putting in 30 hours on that Prince of Persia, which is crazy. But again, I think once I'm able to move around with the console, it unlocks my ability to kind of set time aside and just hammer at it every so often to the point where I'm getting like some decent amount of sessions in daily or every other day really. But over the weekend, I definitely played it a lot more than I expected. But it's been 20 minutes and it's time to get into the topics. Where do we want to start? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Should we talk about the
You want to do
ramifications?
good news or bad news? Up to you.
Let's go good news first. Then we'll go into some bad news. I actually am really excited about Multiversus coming back. And I'm actually happy that Joker is being played by the I don't know if he's the original voice cast, but I think a lot of people enjoyed him. I'm trying to remember the name. I'm blanking on the name, but he's the voice actor has reprised his role as the Joker for this, and as well as
Mark
the
Hamill.
original, yeah, Mark Hamill and the original Batman too, or maybe not the
Yeah.
original, but yeah. So
Well, the Batman who been Batman the longest. I
yeah.
think.
So they just it's appreciative that they are like taking those like extra steps, I suppose, to kind of do that type of stuff. But at the same time, he does like a pretty compelling character. Even in his trailer, they was getting off some memes, and if you don't know what memes are, they're just meteor strikes. So I seen that he has the capability of doing that. But I definitely I got back interested in Multiverses after watching the trailer and seeing some of the moves and things that people can do. I really just hope the netcode, as they mentioned, is up to snuff. And I think it's coming around the corner, right? It's like the 26th or 27th. It's pretty close.
Is it this month? Really?
It's this month. Yeah, it's this month for it to return. So that'd be another thing that we could potentially try to play, but if we can schedule some time, because adult gaming is like ridiculous. Trying to get people on the same schedule to play a game, it's crazy. It's crazy at this point. But yeah, it does come back.
28th.
Yep, the 28th. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. Any characters y'all want to see from this universe that hasn't been shown already? Like, I don't really even know what Warner Brothers like truly has as characters that are like infamous or like super.
Not just playing. I don't know if they even can put them on her.
You talking about the Cartoon Network stuff?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they could. I would love to see Kid Next Door stuff.
I'm looking at their Wikipedia real quick. The big one, well, they got a lot of smaller franchises. As far as the big franchises that are stand on their own is like Terminator. This one is not in there. All the DC stuff. Hanna-Barbera, which is, more Scooby-Doo stuff, and other like older animated shows. And there a lot of stuff that I don't know, like New Line Cinema. So there might be some. There could be some like movie-related tie-ins, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Austin Powers, Friday the 13th. So there's a lot. I would say there's a lot big grab bag.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at their fandom page, and it's a bunch. Jeez, they got Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, King Kong, Alien X. They got a bunch of stuff they can pull from.
Yeah, but as far as like, I don't personally need a bit any other franchises. I think DC is kind of
The go-to.
strong enough to make
Yeah.
a lot of just like fighting game characters, but they can always pick some wacky characters as well.
You know they got LeBron James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Oh, like,
yeah,
bro,
LeBron James from Space Jam.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they could possibly do well, maybe not licensed, because Michael Jordan was a little too fancy with them for his licensing or his likeness or whatever. He might have played them.
A couple billion.
Yeah, you gotta give him a little more for the Space Jam Mike. But yeah, what I was thinking, like, Osmosis Jones, stuff like that. The people, I guess, that you could potentially put in there and there'd be kind of mesh with everything. Obviously, these people aren't like the biggest following, like Powerpuff Girls. You'll probably think of that. Marvin the Martian, a bunch of stuff, right? But Mad Max. They could definitely put Mad Max in there if they wanted to. So there's a lot to pull from for the Warner Brothers brand, and I'm just excited that they are listening to what people were saying. They took it off for a reason. They want this to be a huge hit for them. They want this to make a lot of money, obviously, and I think the quality has to be there at first before people can start to really back up this IP. So my expectation is for them to start to try to build out. I wouldn't call Multiversus their stepping stone for everything like a Fortnite or whatever, but I could potentially see in this being like a stepping stone if it's big enough as potentially, doing that crossover stuff like a Fortnite where the Multiversus is the main game, but there's a lot of variety within Multiversus because that's what it is. It's a multiverse, and it starts to branch out into different parts or different things where the engine and everything can handle a lot of variety of stuff. Now, well, do I think Warner Brothers is going to get into the engine game? I think Unreal Engine can do that because of they're in the gaming business and like creating game engines, but I could see Warner Brothers trying to create something of their own as a multiverse, if you will. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't really know. I don't know if I have anything to back up my claim there, but what I can say is that it does feel like they're treating this with a lot more care than they did with all the other stuff that came out outside of Hogwarts. Like everything else was thrown to the wind. Like I understand them probably giving them more time for Suicide Squad, but that game was already set in stone. I think Multiversus having a actual foundation that people like to play, it really helped them, build a case to kind of, hey, let's take it offline, let's do it right, and let's make it come back with a lot more oomph than it did in the previous. So I am looking forward to it. I think that is a cool way to start the first season with Joker and everything. So definitely looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing who they put in next. And hopefully it works.
You think then some people pay for the season pass or a developer pass, Kickstarter, but whatever they called it with that game, battle
I
pass?
think you're gonna get free season. I think you're gonna get season 1 for free. That's what I think is gonna happen.
So you think that those people that put that money in, they're gonna get their cheese back or get some type of reimbursement, recompense, something like that?
I think that's what you pay for season 1. That's what I think happened. I think that's what's going to convert it to. I think whatever you paid for originally, and maybe it's cool that you was one of the few people that played it at the beginning, but a lot of people played this game at the beginning and got all those skins. But what I think is going to happen, similar to Fortnite, I think when you go into the Battle Royale, if you bought the game, you might just have more stuff, but it's all going to be digital. I think what it is going to be that season pass, though. That's what I think. Okay. They're not gonna give you no money back. Nah.
That was money back. People was technically that one they technically put money in for a beta.
Yeah, I mean, I put my money in for a beta. Right, yeah. Once I was able to get my little skins, and then I bought a skin. I don't think I bought a skin, but yeah, there's plenty of situations where this could have went left, but I think the game was good enough, and I think the promises they're being made and coming back is going to help still keep people excited versus upset about that. I think that's a moot point at this point. I think a lot of people were upset at the beginning, but now that it's coming back, I think the expectation is for them to get something for free. Obviously, it got to be something that's useful and valuable. So I'm hoping that it's just season 1. You get season 1 for free for anyone that bought the original pass, Yeah. So that's my thought. But they can do the Matrix. They can do Neo. They got so much to pull from, Joe. They just got a lot. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, this could be a cool way.
I can't wait to be Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Which one? The newer one from the 06 movie or the one when he mentioned his teeth?
I don't know. They got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They got Beetlejuice, Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Them some hitters.
Dexter's Laboratory. You got Monkey.
Veronica Mars, Vampire Diaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. They got a bunch of stuff.
But yeah, I like Family. Not my bad. I'm reading the list and it said Family Matters and Family Matters in my head. Multiversus was a fun game when it came out, and I'm looking forward to it to come back just because a lot of free to play games struggle to, I guess, be successful or last a long time. And so we used to play free to play games all the time, but we haven't really played anything recently just because they kind of are in like a low period, or like the new ones come out, but then they fall off real quick.
Yeah.
I was reading news today that the finals is struggling.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Y'all ain't in there buying y'all Louis Vuitton boots.
That was Jalen, man. He said this game full. I was like, hey man, you gotta support, gotta play it. That man ain't touched this thing.
I know what they took to it.
I guess so.
As far as upcoming free to play games, I guess I'm interested in them just because I haven't had anything new to play.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Multiversus actually lands. It was probably good that they took a year off because they were, on the downtrend for a bit, and they took that as the opportunity to take a step back, go back to the lab, see if they can come back out with something good. So hopefully the second launch is still good. Again, I don't think it will be as big as the original, but it's probably best for the overall health of the game to get back to a point where people are interested into it.
For sure. No, I agree. I think that they did the right move, even though it felt like it was because at that point we were like getting mad because of the code and stuff like that. I really hope that they sorted out a lot of those issues, and when we get on there, it is a big difference. Talking almost Destiny. Like I still haven't played any game that has had the level of quality a Destiny match has provided, even though once you're in it, of course, like there's probably problems when you're trying to get in it, but once you're in it, it's like I've always felt like I wasn't like getting jacked over by some stupid code issue. So I'm looking for some type of quality of that caliber to kind of really truly ground themselves as a mainstay here. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And yeah, happy y'all back on the scene. Make us proud, because you can definitely lose it all. But
as long as they don't make no updates where that mug start acting crazy again, because that mug started off straight, man, and then it just I remember they had like one update or something, and then it just got kind of wonky. It was weird.
It was like a little bit after LeBron James popped up on the scene. I forget what it was like one of those ones that was trying to fix, not Tasmanian, but it was like something to fix someone, and then it started to act all weird. Everything started acting weird. So
yeah,
it was one of those updates. But yeah,
because Taz was OP. I forgot about that. That's funny.
Yeah, Taz was OP. Then that coin backpack man I forget his name, but from Adventure Time,
Jake.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely a problem. That was your mainstay. That man with them coin in his backpack.
Jalen stay with the meta characters.
Yeah, go get these coins.
I just used him. He had a sword. I was like, he's straight, man. And
then he started.
He had that sword, bro.
Then he started getting motion with them coins. Them coins in his backpack. Them boys was collect the coins. But yeah, no, it definitely had like a cool mechanic with the 2v2 stuff, and I want to see them expand on that and like bring in more modes and stuff like that too. So looking forward to it. All right, let's check out our next topic. Let's go to Rogue Ally 2.0 first, and then we'll get to the sad stuff. So the Rogue Ally, I think they're getting like a refresh. It's not like a mainstay, like it's not like a Rogue Ally 2. It's basically just a refresh, kind of, but a very very dialed back refresh than it was from the Steam Deck to the Steam Deck OLED. I think the Steam Deck OLED kind of set the precedent of what a refresh should be, and I think this is going to miss the mark a little bit. Based off the specs that I've seen, we haven't had a official announcement, but from the specs that have been discussed in the leaks, that it's pretty much just going to have not bumped up specs, but it's just going to fix a lot of the problems that it initially had and have a better battery. And that's all cool and dandy. And honestly, Josh, that Rogue Ally is the smallest technically Windows handheld. And if it has a better battery, that is a decent one to be looking at once it comes into the light, because it has the VRR refresh rate on it too, which is really cool that the other ones just don't have. But at the same time, I saw the Rogue Ally and I saw all the problems that it was having. So potentially once this refresh comes out, it does, for me, could potentially jump to the best Windows handheld option for the larger consumer, you know, to kind of compare towards the Steam Deck, because it has the best armor crate is the best in regards to the OS or system it uses to try to operate through Windows. It had some of the more, I guess, unique features in regards to the screen. It had a better I'm trying to think of the word. Better color gamut. It had a better, wider range for colors in regards to the screen. It's not topping the Legion Go, but at the same time, it's topping the original Steam Deck. So that was always a good plus. And then it had VRR. But now that it was always the problem is the battery. So now it's going to have the performance and the ability to have similar battery experience on some of those higher end games. And they're talking about not just, 50% increase, but almost a doubling of that, which is really good. So if you're going from 2 hours to 4 hours on heavy games, that's not bad. We just got to check out the price, and see if all these claims are going to come to fruition. But for me, I am obsessed now with handhelds. I'm obsessed with their abilities. I'm obsessed with the ability to have access to all of their games on the go. I am very obsessed with the whole concept of portability in gaming. I just needed the right device to kind of make that make sense, and that was the Steam Deck at first, because it was just so much. It was so little that the Nintendo Switch could do that it just didn't make sense. But it's so much the Steam Deck can do that makes everything make sense for me in regards to where I need to shop, what I need to be doing, how I need to get to access to these things, what I need to set up to kind of access my other stuff. And now that Chiaki 4 Deck has got a new feature where you can really take it out the house for your remote play, it really has become a PlayStation Portal. So there's a lot of accessibility to your games through these handheld devices that have a open platform. And I'm really appreciative of everyone that is in this market and trying to grow it and trying to compete. So, am I going to pick up the Rogue Ally X? I don't think so. I'm going to say I don't think so because I always say I'm not going to get something and then end up miraculously in my hand somewhere. But that potential upgrade, I don't think it's enough at this point to kind of want to change anything. I am very much so tethered to my actual charger when I'm using a Legion Go, but I don't feel that way with the OLED, and I feel like I'm using them for the purposes that it requires, like smaller, not so heavy games that I don't need 1080p on. I'm fine with playing on my OLED. But if I'm playing something that I'm looking to get a better higher res experience, I'm going to tether myself to a charger and I'm going to be fine with it because the spots that I'm playing and lounging in has those accessibility there. So the Ally X could potentially solve that for me and give me 4 hours of time battery free of the charger, which is great. But I think we need to hold off until a lot of additional things come to light in regards to a better processor and better APU to kind of bump that performance. But I've been talking a lot. What are your thoughts, Josh, on the handheld experience and then the Ally X and the leaks? If you have seen anything, or even you, Jalen, I know you are part of this. You got a Steam Deck, which is crazy. But Jalen does have a Steam Deck and a Switch, so he got plenty of handhelds. But yeah, talk to us about the Ally X. Yeah, gamer.
Yeah, the Rog Ally was always one that I would hear a lot of good stuff about, and I did try it out for a bit. I just didn't like the feel of the device, like the buttons layout and the feel of the sticks and things like that. Yeah, I didn't like the ergonomics and how it felt. So that one I kind of didn't look at, because at that point I think the Steam Deck is pretty solid as far as the ergonomics. It's not the best, but it feels in a good place where I don't feel like anything is missing. Whereas when I was playing the Rog Ally, I just didn't like it. So that would be one that I would plug it in and, maybe use a controller or something like that. But that being said, it was always a strong competitor because it came out and it was a solid device. It was pretty reliable software. Feature-wise, it was on the same level, just a little bit more expensive. And then from there, we got a lot of other ones, but they kind of haven't all lived up to the Rog Ally. And so coming out with a refresh that's even better, I think it's good. It's going to solidify it as a good competitor for people who want something stronger than the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think it's for me because it's probably going to be more expensive. Like, I'm looking at the leaks, like it's not confirmed, but somewhere in the $800 range is what it's expected to be. That's for me, one, too much, but also how I play handheld games is it's still going to be too big, even though it's smaller. The Aya Neo that I have is like half the size of it, and it's a OLED, so it's a Windows device, so it satisfies all my needs that I need for me. Like, I'm not gonna be playing Horizon on it,
right?
And if I am, I'm gonna stream it because my PC, again, like I mentioned before, I'm in a weird space where handheld gaming, there are a lot of compromises that I have to take if I want to play the highest end AAA games.
Right.
So I'd rather stream it directly and have the highest quality and just have it streamed. That being said, I still play stuff natively, like Hades and stuff like that. So having a really small device that I can just, pop out, play it while I'm laying in the bed, at 1 a.m. and it not be like a huge device that got a jet engine on it, is good.
JJ's jet plane.
Yeah, but I'm very happy with the way the handhelds have been developing recently, because before the Steam Deck, it was kind of like, you spent $1,300 for some trash, but now, for like $500-$600, even if you don't want a Steam Deck, you probably find a pretty solid device that is, other than battery, is probably gonna satisfy all of your personal needs for like handheld gaming. And even then, battery is getting a lot better. Battery and CPUs are getting better, so your battery life experience is going to get better and better. So I'm hoping Nintendo is able to. I know that they're not going to compete because they're not in the PC space, but I hope that the device that they make is at least feature-wise comparable, so that what you have with the Switch, you have a little bit more options. Let me take that back. Nintendo not going to give you options. I just hope that the device that they make is not trash. Like, they shouldn't be selling a toaster when we get in all these pretty tight devices. So
I think it definitely puts a lot of pressure on the Switch. Even though they're not in the same market, I feel like the Switch is meant for the casual gamer that is looking to play Nintendo games, and this is meant for the people that find value in having like the either the best class or at least a slice of the best class in regards to performance and mobility. And they're looking for that different type. I don't even think that Nintendo Switch owners and PC handheld owners are even in the same bracket as people that would cross over, to be honest. Like, regardless, I'm still going to buy a Switch 2. And it's not because I can't get the experience on these devices. It's just that the Switch 2 more than likely is going to provide experience that one can't be replicated on a PC handheld in a positive way. Like I'm saying, yes, there is emulation. Yes, that thing is probably going to be emulated quickly, but there is a ramp up time for that type of stuff to occur. So when you're in a generation, you probably want to utilize the devices that they are offering for Nintendo at least, as well as like the PlayStation or the Xbox. But after that generation has been completed, there's more than likely there's an option out there for you to play it in a different way. At that point, you have already built your catalog, and you could just start to port that stuff that you want to play in a different way elsewhere. I was at first under the assumption that I was going to do it the other way, but I feel like there was a lot of problems with emulation at the beginning that I don't feel comfortable putting like bigger, larger, more expensive games that I find that Nintendo is going to try to go with now that they are refreshing their system, that I don't want to kind of mess up with and try to do other stuff when I can really just play it in the way I guess that they want you to play it, even at a worse resolution or worse graphical power. I
Yeah,
guess I just have to get used
older
to it.
games tend to do very good with
Yeah.
playing it on PC, but newer games, it's hit and miss. So if you got a 50-50 chance the game might not be ideal, then
yeah.
it kind of sucks.
So yeah, so that is my thought process around the Switch, and like I said, I don't even equate it to my handhelds here because I feel like they don't compete. They just have a catalog that is solidified and people that will buy it regardless. Even myself, even if I only got one or two games on it, that is the average consumer, in my opinion, that is shopping either both devices. They don't even think like, oh, I need to be picking out or comparing it to a Rogue Ally versus the Legion Go versus the Ionine. I can't even say the name. Ionine. Things like that. Like there's no comparison to it. It's what it is, unless you want to buy the older version of it, like the Switch 1 versus the Switch 2. Like that is your comparison. So which one? And obviously most people are going to go with the newer version. So yeah, that's my kind of thought around that, and I kind of went on a tangent, but I did want to come back to Jalen and say, what is like? I know you got both a Switch and a Switch. You got a Switch and a Steam Deck. What is it for the Steam Deck that will make you feel like it's worth upgrading? Because I think I'm if I'm not mistaken, you're probably comfortable with having your Switch 1 and your Steam Deck still and not kind of upgrading, even if there was some stuff that come down the line. But I guess I want to get it from your thoughts is what would be your ideal successor for both, really? Because I don't know what mine would be, but I know I'm gonna buy it anyway. So I guess what would be something that you could put your finger on or your thumb on and say, this is the reason why I would upgrade, or if you have any.
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, man, when it comes to like upgrading and things like that, I mean, generally when we get a new console and stuff like that, we're looking for better graphics, really the compatibility to continue playing games because we're gonna become obsolete at one point in time.
Right.
And and hopefully like a better performance, basically. But I mean, you guys gonna get to this point where I ain't gonna say they can't necessarily do better with the performance optimization, basically the optimizer. So,
Right.
for the answer your question, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily speak on the Switch. That's like a different conversation. I mean, or no, we can that can just be that what I just said right there. That could be the answer for the Switch. Like
Gotcha.
that
Better
that simple.
graphics, becoming obsolete with the Switch One, not being able to play the better games, and there is options on the Switch Two that just provide a better experience. That for the Switch.
Yeah, so I'm gonna treat that as a console, as a because I mean it kind of falls into that realm.
Yeah.
Um, but more so like the PC handhelds and stuff like that. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I mean, the Switch do everything I needed to do. I don't play it night and day. I mean, not the Switch, the Steam Deck. Sorry about
Hmm.
that. The Steam Deck, it does everything I needed to do for the most part. Obviously, it's like certain little tweaks and different things that can be done better and stuff. But I mean, the device is only $400. Like, I'm not expecting it to just be like the smoothest, most clean cut device or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, the biggest thing, like we had talked about, several podcasts ago, just, personal conversation between the three of us. I mean, the only thing that's gonna really make me update the Steam Deck is because, I mean, not because, the only thing that make me update the Steam Deck for real, would be if they do something with the battery, um, or, something with the space. I say potentially the screen, and I feel like it's like obsolete. But because it's like a PC and stuff like that, it's becoming obsolete a little bit less frequently, especially I mean, even saying emulation stuff like that. I mean, I don't technically it's not gonna become obsolete if I'm using it heavily for emulation. Unless they start pushing different types of emulators that you already got the ones that work, but they want the ones that's better because you can do X, Y, and Z with these that might cause more strain on my, on my Steam Deck. But other than that, I mean, the most clear cut answer is if they're going to increase that battery life, give you more space, and then make this thing run smoother than what it already does. Like that's
Hmm.
the only reason I update. I mean, it ain't other than that. There's not really any reason to really do that
So
because I'm not playing like the latest and greatest on it for. So
yeah, so your fork in the road has already been, and that's what I was trying to get at. Like your fork in the road has already been accomplished. The stuff that you're able to play today is worth it to you because there isn't anything that you're playing that's gonna push that game, that system to its limits, right? And
yeah, I mean,
outside of like limits as in like battery life and things like that, there is no limitation to your access to the games that you want to play on it in general. And I
yeah, I
think,
mean,
go ahead.
just real quick, if I'm being completely honest with you, y'all can laugh at me, but it came a point in time where I was like, man, I could go get me a PSP again, man, and I can just go play my emulation on
Mhm.
that mug. You know what I'm saying? PSPs came out back in 2000, what, 4 or 5? I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, as long as that mug work, bro, like I'm good. Like it's doing what I needed to do. Obviously, this is way better, but just for the little things I want to do, play it a little bit portably, have a what a 24-hour standby, 36 hour, you know what I'm saying, standby life with that mug, like you was good. Like that
Yeah.
was that was excellence, bro. Like
Yeah, I still got the Vita. I still got
yeah, the
that
battery
thing.
life be on forever.
Yeah, that mug was crispy. No. I agree. I think that they were at that point true engineers. I think a lot of this stuff now has become software based. The true engineers were like creating things from like I think that that was the gold rush of like technology in regards to like how cool and what we can push and still have efficiencies. I think we're now at this point getting back to efficiencies where at first we were just pushing more power to it, more power hungry, just give it more power. That's how we're gonna
More
accomplish
power,
these feats,
more
right?
power.
But now we're starting to see the pushback of more efficiency, more capability within this. How do we provide a more efficient and expanded product without just throwing more battery life at, like the OLED, where they switched out the type of screen it had. They did make the battery a little bit bigger, but a lot of it was functionality that caused it to kind of um uh accumulate to this better battery experience because you do have a better battery experience on the OLED, but it's not just from one thing, it's from better engineering of the product, right? So that is my thought in regards to everything. Like I feel like yes, I would love for this system to run anything and everything that I want, but I am from a realm of reality, right? So there is certain things that I can play now, and there's even things that haven't come out yet that I probably could still have a really great time on, like Hades 2, like a certain when I was playing recently Red Dead Redemption 2, like these games are top notch, hard, heavy games, and I can still run them pretty well on this device. So I'm not worried about games as they continue to grow when we come to efficiencies in regards to like optimization and using FSR3 for certain things. I don't feel like they're going to be taxing GPUs and APUs as much because there's a lot of it's going to be relying on a lot of artificial intelligence and software that the fork in the road for me has pretty closely been met. I need more battery, as you were mentioning. I need it to be lighter. I need it to be potentially smaller, but still have a large screen for myself, like bezel, like almost a bezel-less screen. I'm looking at more of a engineering standpoint now versus I need raw hard more power. Like I don't really think I need it with the Legion Go. Like honestly, I could survive with this for the next 5 years and be okay because I got plenty of games to play on it and things that I can do with it to kind of continue to build out the longevity of the system. But there is things that I want fixed, like battery, uh, like software side things, and potentially having a better fan on here because I feel like it's too loud. So there's a lot of engineering components versus a true need for more power for me at this point. Um, and I think that's what your sentiment was too. Is like I don't really need it to be more powerful. I need it to be more better engineered, and that's where you were talking about the PSP because those were peak engineering to me. I felt like that stuff was like truly game changers, and I think that's why the Steam Deck, was so impressive. It was the price point plus the value plus the ergonomics and the OS that it operated on. It just made sense to have it, right? And I think engineering is starting to creep back into our what we value versus just throwing raw power at it, more power, more power. So the handhelds are shifting back to engineering, and I love it. That's why I love it.
Yeah, they need to go back to that because I liked it being able to have my little 3.6 volt PSP battery in there and to forget that my game was on standby for a month and come back and that mug still got 70% power.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's what I need to get back to.
Let's not forget that Nintendo had a huge part to play in engineering. Like I said, they do everything. They do a lot of stuff wrong, but engineering ain't one of them. They love to create new things, and we can't deny that the Switch had an impact on the entire gaming market and the value of taking big games wherever you want to go. So that engineering component, Nintendo has made a boom where, and I think this is also why the PS5 and the Xbox just don't seem as valuable anymore because they're not doing anything different than a PC. It's just that they are trying to kill you with software and everybody is over it. We need better engineering. And I think that is what's causing this whole rift in like why people are not really interested in gaming consoles anymore. At least I'm not. I'm not that interested in them, honestly. Like I thought that the engineering in the Xbox Series X was enough to make me value it because of all the cool things it does, like the standby mode, like the quick resume. And those things are truly valuable, but I think that the value of that engineering is being lost on a lot of people simply because one, they don't have a lot of games to play on it, and the games that they can be played elsewhere that adds more value. So it is time to get back to truly engineering things and that make sense for people's lives and stuff like that. I think we lost the touch on that. So that is the call to action for me is that I'm loving this Rog Ally X because it's going to put pressure on a lot of other companies to continue to innovate. And as Nintendo is come ramping up to kind of be an innovator in that space, I'm looking forward to what they do. I'm hoping that they push the envelope further, and I'm expecting a lot of good things to come from the value of the handhelds right now. And that was a long topic, but I kind of just wanted to talk about that.
Just real quick, but what about the battery life in that thing? Like, ain't it like less than 2 hours
Which one?
for the Rog Ally X?
No, the Rogue Ally X is the expectation is that they are supposed to be a 2 times in the battery life. So we're going from 2 hours to 4 hours, technically. Are they more
So I
like an
thought the Rog
hour
Ally
and
was
40?
like an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, like an hour and 40, under 50, depending on large games, and then being able to 2 times that to about potentially 4 hours is really a good place to be in regards to large games. Yeah. But if you're talking about like smaller indie games, that's like a 18 that's like a 10 to 11 hour gaming session. That's more than enough for anybody. So,
I just seen somewhere online it said like expect a 40% increase, not like double or nothing like that. So I don't know.
oh, well, the article I was reading, they were talking about if you're thinking that if your expectations are 50%, think bigger. So I was thinking bigger. So maybe my source is wrong, but I got it from The Verge. I don't
No,
know.
I ain't. You. I would take your story versus. I mean, I know you be in like you search, do a little bit more extensive research and stuff like that. So
Well,
I just remember you talking about your battery life on your what is it, your Legion, I think it was, and then I be hearing the battery life from my friend. He just bought another handheld thing, and he talked about the battery life trash on there. And then I literally went to one article. The first thing I was looking at, all right, was the battery life, and I'm just looking like these little 2 hours ain't gonna do it, man. Like,
Yeah, it really ain't. No, it's not.
like I'm tired of cutting my Steam deck. I'm gonna be honest, I get tired of cutting. I know we done talking, but just last thing, I hate when I cut my Steam Deck on and that mug just dead, and I need to let it charge for a little bit because
Yeah,
it
the
ain't.
standby mode ain't good. Yeah.
And more so for the Switch. The Switch, you got to let that mug sit there for like 5-10 minutes before it can even turn on. Like, yeah,
Mm.
that gets annoying.
The Switch myself, I really haven't like the standby mode on the Switch hasn't been like a egregious, but at the same time I don't use it that often. But I know that when I'm usually playing it, it's usually I'm docking it when I'm done. So yeah, I guess I don't really see that, but I do know that the Switch battery life on heavy games isn't great at all. So um yeah, I get you. So my thought is create the experience, which they did, and now innovate on that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I think with the Rogue Ally, it's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully, it is what they're saying, and I'm not crazy thinking that it's 100% increase, and if it's a 50% increase,
uh, yeah, I don't know. It's not confirmed. I think that's the problem. Tom
yeah,
Sky is reporting that it's like 40%.
mm,
But I mean, 40% doesn't mean that you can't get an extra hour or more. It depends on other aspects as well, like how it's optimized. But 40% battery increase it is going to be significant. I feel like, but yeah, it might not be double.
yeah. And I guess my expectation from here on out is that these things start to like at least for me to get to perk my ears up. I think these things need to start doubling in performance, not performance, but in those qualities, because I think we have set a standard for what to expect for a refresh. And if you're going to throw a bigger battery in it, but you're not going to do the innovation part of creating and building out the engine, or at least building out the engineering so that you have a better experience overall and you get the better efficiency out of the device, I think that's lackluster. So I'm not saying that everybody has to continue to innovate in a meaningful way. I'm just saying I guess I don't want to go down the trend of a laptop where they just start to look all the same and they're not really truly defining themselves as a next generation. because that is not cool either. I really don't want just a bunch around and they not really worth it, and they not making a meaningful update. They just like a phone. Like, come on now, I don't want that. So I really want to see the value of these things start to um, be well rounded across the board versus one thing getting better every 6 to 10 months. I'm like, that's just stupid. I think the Steam Deck OLED was a well rounded upgrade. I need more of that. That is what I want in a refresh. If you're going to do a refresh and not call it a 2, you know what I'm saying? That's what I want. But we'll see. We will see. All right, what's next? Let's get to the bad news.
Yes, bad news. My favorite.
My favorite.
Who you want to start with? Final Fantasy or who else is on the chopping block this week?
Well, it wasn't really the chopping block for this week, but it's the ramifications of the closure of those counts of those the industry gaming closures of those. I mean, sorry, the closures of those studios from Microsoft, and also what you were talking about with Final Fantasy, but it was really those. I wasn't really gonna like I was gonna revisit that because there's a lot of stuff that has come out additionally than the last time we talked, and I think I was a little too nice. No, I wouldn't say nice, but I was just a little, like I get it from a standpoint of, working in a corporate America and understanding that none of that stuff, they don't care about you regardless. I mean, they can pretend all they want, but it's not like it's not an experience that is for the faint heart. But I don't want to treat it that way because I'm bringing in personal experience to like what their situations are. So what I would say is that I felt like Microsoft could have fronted the bill for a time. What are y'all thoughts? Because
I agree. Because so I'm gonna focus on the Hi-Fi Rush Studio first, Tango Gameworks. That they bought them in an investment in Bethesda, and obviously with your investment with what was like $7 billion, they want to see a return on that. All of the games that came out since the acquisition weren't setting the world on fire, but they built some new IPs and they had potential. So that's where they could reevaluate. It's like, okay, this studio, what they put out didn't do that well. We spent this much, and yeah, it makes sense to maybe cut back in some ways. But I think Tango Gameworks was a good example of that, where they had a couple games that came out, but they were successful in some metrics, so you can reevaluate it. Okay, maybe we need to cut the team size. You have a smaller budget, but if you can aim for what you did last time, we can see a return on that investment. But I think the problem with a lot of that we're going to see in the industry now is that the profit margins. I'm just going to say I'm not a business person, so you forgive me if the terms are wrong, but the profits being projected are not big enough. Even if it's like, okay, we gonna invest into you a couple $1 million, it's gonna take you 3 years, but we only gonna have a small percentage of profit. It's not worth it. We want to see double, triple, quadruple of what we invested. And if you can't guarantee that, we're not gonna go into it. And that's what you're seeing with a lot of games. Whereas like some games, in the past, their budget might have been pretty small, but it came out and the game blew up, where they weren't expecting that. And so that was a great situation. But now we're starting to expect games to come out and blow up, and that's not the case. I'm going to bring up Final Fantasy, for example. Final Fantasy VII kind of was Square Enix's like in case of emergency game for a long time. They didn't want to do a Final Fantasy VII remake, and they kept saying it's not the right time, and we're going to do it when we feel like we, how to explain it in not a bad way. They were saving Final Fantasy VII Remake for a long time because that was the game people were most hyped for. And so when they started the remake series, they were kind of expecting profits to continue to grow because this is a game people have been waiting for 20 years. We put in a whole bunch of money behind it. People love it, but it's kind of not hitting sales targets. So it's like, why is the game that people have been the most hyped for not hitting our sales targets? Well, maybe because the budget and the sales targets were too high. And, there might be other factors, but it's like, maybe Final Fantasy, it isn't realistic to expect it to make as much money as you did, but it's kind of too late. They already spent the money on it. And so going forward, I think a lot of studios are going to be like that. So with Xbox, I think they have a lot of problems. But Microsoft being so as big as it is, and being video games being a creative medium that take a lot of time to be creative and need more time for as an investment, that's going to continue to hurt them because Microsoft as a company, I think, is only looking for profits and profit margin, and that's not going to work in the video game industry. For example, looking at Sony, my bad if I'm talking for a long time.
No, you're good.
Sony footed the bill for The Last Guardian for like a whole generation, and even though the game didn't sell well, I enjoyed the game. I know it was controversial when it came out, but they footed the bill for that for like a whole generation just off the strength of that. This is a developer that we had in the past who did very well. We want to see the project to its fruition, and for if it was worth it or not, who knows? But they were willing to do that, and I don't know if we've seen Microsoft going down that route to invest in a studio that has potential to build up talent, to build up technology, to build up faith in the consumer base. Like those things are not as easily measured, I guess. But when comparing that to the profit, it seems that Microsoft is willing to cut really successful, like really acclaimed studios if it's just for profit. And like you said, being from the business world or a corporate America world, Deontay, there needs to be a balance. I mean, you can't foot the bill for everything. Some stuff you just got to cut it because it ain't gonna work out. But I wish Microsoft was able to take more time to invest in the people that need to be invested in.
Absolutely. I think that was the key, that message that I kind of came away from it, because there's a lot of conversation around previous statements that were made by the company in regards to why they actually, shutter studios, and it's not because of profit, but it's because of whether or not they feel like leadership can turn things around and blah blah blah. And maybe that is true, maybe it's not. But what I can see from this experience here with Tango and Tango and Arcane is that they were already experiencing bleed at the beginning of this acquisition. And these individuals or these studios were probably the least profitable, but they had like a higher footing or billing to kind of cover costs as they continue to work and develop on new games. And as they were pitching stuff, the cost and the value of it probably was outweighing it was being outweighed by the cost of everything, the value of keeping them around. I just feel like sometimes those are situations that can't really be, as you stated, can't really be described in the numbers, and it has to have some type of oversight to kind of see whether or not there is value in holding on to these IPs or these companies that have created this and their technology, right? Because now that you shuttered it, all that goes away. It's not like you can use it. You can use it elsewhere in the company. Obviously, you're a big conglomerate now, but it just feels as if the people that were there, dedicated and working on these systems and things, probably, and they were just had a developer direct about how they created the rhythm stuff, and to Hi-Fi Rush being like already having an embedded player base and kind of having a successful follow up to that, it probably would have been valuable to them. So, but it just feels as if they were pleading with, they were leading a little bit too much with the other side. There is profit, there's creativity, and then there's that added value that you can't really, it's not tangible. The added value to these companies still remaining in those studio heads and being able to have access to create and build had too much value that they lost. And I don't think the profit that they're going to gain from shuttering them and the losses they're going to save is really going to add up to the value that they had before. So that was really, like I said, I didn't want to go too hard on them because I understand what that business, like I said, it's not just Microsoft, it's not just this company, it is every company. I just know that I just heard that there were some layoffs in another company not too long ago. I forget the name now, but there is so many of these announcements happening on a week to week basis that it ain't even funny. Like every week there is an announcement of somebody getting laid off in the gaming community, in the gaming industry.
Yeah, I think heard something about Square Enix today.
Yeah. And that's understandable. They made bad decisions. I understand that they had terrible decisions. It's just that the people that actually have to pay for that decisions aren't the people that made the decisions. So I just feel like they had bad leadership there. Honestly, Square Enix probably had the most valuable and sought after portfolio. They just mismanaged it. I think Capcom is the only one doing it right. And if they are throwing all their trump cards out there with releasing every remake for every great game they ever did, they're doing it in a smart way. They're using their technology, the RE engine. They are providing a experience that you really can't. And even if they have a flop like Exo Prime, where they probably still covered their costs by making the right decision to put a game that may not sell well in Game Pass, like they are doing the smart route versus holding things on one thing and not being able to access, like Capcom learn from their mistakes on the PS4 era with the Street Fighter debacle, and I think there's a few other fumbles up until Devil May Cry 5. But then they learned a lesson, right? And they realized that it didn't make sense. So I think Square Enix is where Capcom was previously. Still doing things in a traditional way that just didn't make sense anymore. And a lot of that comes from accessibility, people wanting to have access to their games anywhere, and the value of doing that and providing that for people. I think Sony really thought, and they are selling well. I think Sony really thought the PlayStation Portal was going to be something that was a game changer for their lineup and being able to give people the ability to take their games on the go and have access to them. But one, it costs too much. Two, it doesn't do enough. There's too much competition for you to be putting out such a lazy product and thinking people are going to buy it. You are innovators. If they were to put out another PlayStation Vita or something of that sort and not dumb down the games, I would absolutely buy it because I feel like they're innovators. So, and I think that they would be able to make something that's really, really cool tech-wise. Because they always have. Like, that's what sold me on Sony stuff, man. It never was. I could say it was the games, but at the same time, when you only have access to what you have access to. So it never felt like the PS2 to me was just this one little, and I'm not trying to get back into the whole media box, but it played DVDs. It did like all this other extra crap. Like it got on the web. I think it was the first one with the web browser and stuff like that. And I was just like, what is this thing? Why is it like, is it an actual system or what do you do on it? So then I started playing around with it because like you only have access to what you have access to. So I started, that's how you kind of build memories with a device or whatever. Now, the PS2 is my favorite little thing because it has so much different type of unique things to it that I never thought I would be able to see or whatever. But I think they just got away from a lot of the innovation and just started to try to build on Xbox is providing an experience we have to provide a similar experience but not innovate. And I think that's the innovation was very much so lacking, and then they were upcharging for it. So I don't want to go back to that point, but the from what I'm seeing here and all these people having to change and having to kind of get with the times to kind of keep their company afloat, it all just screams bad management. Like it does to me, because it just doesn't feel, it's just like all self-inflicted wounds. Redfall, self-inflicted, bro. Like everybody knew. Like I don't care what trends you are seeing or what you thought. Suicide Squad, another self-inflicted wound. I don't care what trends you're seeing. There is no reason you should take a single player focused studio and force it to do something they're not comfortable with. Like, how does that make sense to anybody? Like, really, be serious. Like, how does that make sense? Like, let's reallocate to this because it's more profit. But at the same time, let's just not focus on the thing that made them great. Like, how do you do that? How do you think that? And maybe that's what they had to sell in order to stay alive, because maybe they just got pressure to make something like that. And I don't know. But whatever the case may be, to get them to have to pitch that and sell it, we get that, and now we have to suffer for it. And I don't put that on Microsoft. I put that on Bethesda. But it's all now Microsoft. So it just is what it is. I don't think Tango did anything wrong. I don't know what the cause of that one was. That was insane to me. But it all just feels like mismanagement and self-inflicted wounds today. It does not feel like anybody.
That Bethesda deal. You were saying it was Microsoft got fleeced. I
Yes.
feel like they did. Bethesda was bigging up all these IPs you're gonna get. We got all these projects. We got Redfall, Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be some hits, and Microsoft bit. And so far, I mean, nothing that's come out of Bethesda has been a hit. In all metrics. Like maybe it's critically acclaimed, but it didn't sell well, or it sold well, but people don't. It's not.
They sold them some garbage, bro. I told you that when I sold. I was like, I don't think they worth it, but I can understand. And it feels like they did a thing I didn't do with Bethesda. They added value to the IPs and the characters and the things that they have under their brand. But why wouldn't you do that when you're thinking about some of the people that hold that brand, like Tango, like
because IPs
Arcane.
don't mean anything without the good developers. Like, I mean, Doom was fun, but I don't really care about Doom. I like id Software.
Yeah, I think they made a great Doom game, and if somebody else tried to make Doom, I don't think I would want to play it. Because like it's same thing with Halo. They should understand this because they did it with Halo. They had to go through it. 343 Industries has never made a Halo game that has ever did better than original Bungie Halo game. Like they went through this stuff. I think these mistakes feel a little bit self-inflicted. And I just feel like that's the message. I'm just like, all this stuff could be avoided. I don't feel like any of it had to happen. I'm not saying that they are that smart that they could forecast everything happening in this way and like how things work. But there is absolutely someone there that could have told you shutting down these two studios would probably lose a lot of value, not only in the type of IPs we can put out and what people are looking forward to, but also the talent that we can provide, or at least create with the creativity within our business. Because Bethesda's, I'm pretty sure those studios had relationships. I know that they had to get together at some point. I know that it wasn't just silo. Like those people feel for the other people on their teams. And like, I just don't know. I don't know. I just feel like that there's a lot of weird decisions being made. Maybe for the right reasons in theory, but in reality, it just does not come off as I'm $1 billion company multi-billion-dollar company, and I can't afford to take some losses through a couple hardships when you're literally around the corner. But maybe they just been doing that for a lot of their companies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what Microsoft books look like because a lot of the studios they have been covering haven't put out a game in a long time. Uh, Coalition. Only one that's been really printing money for them is Forza and like Playground.
Yeah, they've been doing overtime.
They've been, and you know, more the sport came out, and you know it didn't do well, and they've been making that game for like 7, 8 years. So I know they're bleeding because these decisions don't make sense to me. It just doesn't. Like, even if that company is bleeding in their own lane, what is causing you, billion-dollar company, to want to shutter them like that? Like, outside of you literally just making very bad decisions throughout the years. And I think that it bodes well for fans. But in a business sense, I don't know. I don't want people to start to turn cold. I think Microsoft has, I think they learned a big lesson from that Lion Studio closure, but they lost a lot of the understanding of when they started to acquire too much. I don't think Phil making decisions no more. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think there's too much money involved at this point. I'm not saying Phil.
Yeah, there was a report that they were saying they're more focused on Microsoft gaming and not Xbox gaming.
Yeah, I think
because
that
of after the $70 billion acquisition and all this stuff with the FTC, there's more oversight. Like, if it was just Xbox and Phil's little project, it's not anymore.
no, it's absolutely not. This is like almost on the level of bringing in as much money as our main, I think when we looked at it with including Activision, like their gaming head is their biggest money earner at this point now. I thought, revenue wise, I have to go double check that, but I thought it was topping PC, but maybe not cloud services. Cloud services might still be at the top, but I think gaming was really close to like their first led highest earning departments. So I think we definitely topped PC sale or like software. I think they definitely did. Well, I'm saying we, but I think gaming topped their PC software sales. So like I said, I think that this has become a bigger thing. I'm not saying that Phil is a great guy or anything. I'm just saying that he hasn't made a decision yet that was like this, you know? Outside of like, I don't know if he was ahead. He wasn't the head when Lion got closed. So I haven't seen a decision like this made. Yeah. I haven't seen a decision like this made since. So it just bodes to me that one, they're not telling us everything about that Bethesda deal. It probably was bad. Or two, it really isn't. The value really wasn't. Once that value hit a certain threshold, it ain't just Phil checking the numbers. It's everybody. And you can't push it on the rug this time, buddy. Those Game Pass numbers aren't getting up there.
Let me double check those numbers for you submit them.
let me. You do that takedown yet? Yeah, I'm gonna get right down on that takedown. Yeah, like for real, because it does seem like something has shifted, especially with this type of move. Like I said, it hasn't. In my opinion, I haven't seen anything like that happen. And outside of that they obviously had layoffs before, but this is like to close an entire studio. That's different versus a layoffs. So that just tells me that there is definitely either one, there was a problem with that acquisition with Bethesda in itself, because they could possibly have fudged the numbers, boosted up their rate, thinking that they're going to have a lot of games that's going to return value. And that was obviously Redfall falling flat, Hi-Fi Rush probably not selling as much, and then Starfield doing great, in regards to numbers wise, but maybe retention. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at some metrics that they thought were going to be astronomical, but they can see from right now it ain't going to hit nothing like that. That would make sense for them to shutter some studios, but that's going to have a long lasting and impactful, it's just going to have a long lasting effect. So I hope y'all chose wisely. I don't think you did, but what do I know? But yeah, Square Enix, they done with PlayStation exclusivity. They are dropping they boy Sony. You said what, Josh?
And Nintendo, because they had a lot of exclusives on both, but yeah, they're moving away from exclusivity because it ain't working.
Who would have thought it? Who would have thunk? Did you see the Helldivers 2 numbers? With
like 12 million or something?
Yeah, 12 fastest selling game for Sony. And you know why? They ain't gonna admit it. I really want to know how well it sold on PlayStation. I really want to know, because that would tell me all I need to know about the decline of consoles. Like, if it sold like a measly 30% on consoles and the rest went to PC, that tells me everything I need to know. Everything I need to know. But if it sold like 60, then I'm like, okay, we still healthy out here. But I doubt it. I think they sold like 30% on the consoles, man. I think everything else came from the PC.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I guess we can't speculate on that. But what I can say is that Square Enix is out of the exclusive business. How we feel, Jalen? Are we proud of this move? Do you think you're going to get you a Kingdom Hearts 6 now? Do you think that they can make it there? I think 4 was announced, 10 years ago now? How long ago was it? It's like 10 years.
4 was announced probably like 3 years ago.
4 was like 3.
Nah, it's been 10, bro. It feel like 10.
Nah, I mean, I don't really care. I mean, it's good. I feel like the exclusivity stuff was just kind of pointless. So, the fact that they got rid of it, I mean, more power to them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not as much as I'm a Square Enix fanboy. I'm not really a Square Enix fanboy, man.
Man, you cop all the exclusives.
They just a little hard headed, and I don't like that. They be like, man, how much you want? Man, did we release this game for the 10th time? You thought it was gonna be 40? 50, duh. Like
50.
So
They've been milking, they've been milking them Kingdom Hearts people for a long time.
Yeah. But no, sure. I mean, I think it gives, again, exclusivity. I think it's really dated at this point. Especially with the way the numbers is and how much gaming and stuff costs now to developers, how all this stuff going. I just don't think it's viable no more. I mean, just give everybody a chance to play the game. Like, I'm tired of people arguing about my console better because I got Spider-Man. Oh, what you playing? Halo? Like, I'm tired of hearing that, bro. At least I got Spider-Man. Just give somebody something that everybody can play. That's all.
And I think it's gonna have to fall back to the innovation. But go ahead, Josh.
That and everything's just so universal now. Like, cross-platform thing now. There's more PC gaming going on now. Like, there's no reason to stay to the dated method. Like, it's so much, you know what I'm saying? It's so innovative. You don't even need to have an Xbox to play Xbox games now. Like, so the exclusive stuff, and I don't mean to go in on it, it's just not viable no more, clearly.
Yeah.
And for Square Enix to be as big as they are and putting like their biggest titles as exclusives I don't know why that they thought it would help like make profit. I don't know how their business decisions work, but to me it doesn't make any sense. But the news that's out this week is that their profits were down this 70%. Year 15%.
I thought it was 69%. It said the profits dropped of 69% year over year. 70%.
Okay, yeah, well, they got big losses this year.
Massive, massive losses.
Even though Final Fantasy 16 came out this fiscal year, Final Fantasy Rebirth and a bunch of other titles is because the Final Fantasy 16 didn't meet their sales expectations. Final Fantasy 7 didn't reach sales expectations. Their live service game Foam Stars, nobody played it.
Dude.
The Final Fantasy re-releases, people bought them, but those are also limited. Like you couldn't buy it physical and stuff. So that was a weird re-release. And then they had a bunch of canceled games, and so all those canceled games as well contribute to like all their huge losses. Plus Final Fantasy 14, which is their biggest moneymaker, that hasn't made as much money this year because it's an off year because the expansion doesn't come out until later this year. So it's like less people playing the MMO as well. So they took a big loss, and not to say that the exclusivity is the biggest factor, but if the game launched on PC, I guarantee a whole bunch of people would play Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 16 on PC, probably more than Xbox. But that don't even matter if it's like if you want to sell 2 million and you only sell 1 million on PlayStation, then you need to open up the consumer base to make up that other million that you're missing out. And so I don't know why they keep putting this on themselves.
Yeah, I don't really either. I think that they have learned a hard lesson with these last two. I mean, with 16 and 7 Rebirth coming off last year with 16 and then coming into Rebirth, and they both not selling as well as they were expecting. It kind of shows that this is just a flawed approach at this point, and that they need to kind of create that space and that understanding that it just doesn't make sense. And regardless of where they put it, because honestly, the Xbox brand is no longer. I honestly I don't associate it, and it's not sad. It's sad, but it isn't, because I've grew up with playing Xbox consoles and I understand the importance of a console. But the only reliability I have on the consoles now is when they tune their games to run exclusively on these consoles. Like everything else about the console, I can find elsewhere. Better experience, better hardware, better memory, everything, right? And I understand that when those consoles come out, they have a level of setting the standard, and that's cool for me too. That tells me that that tells me what range I should be in for the console generation in regards to like PC optimization, all that crap. But they always going to have some type of relevancy simply because of like the fork in the road mainstay. This is what we're going to build towards. This is what we're going to build to. So if you have this, you should be able to run the latest and greatest of the games and have a good experience. So those still going to have some type of value. But honestly, as they continue to grow the brand, as they continue to push the games to the PC, as they continue to push the games to mobile and everywhere you want to play them, it really makes it hard to facilitate the idea of what the Xbox brand is. Where on PlayStation, you can tell very clearly that we want you tied to the console. We want you to stay enclosed. We want to keep the walls up, and we don't really want to have any excess. We only want you playing with friends on the other consoles. It doesn't make sense to us. So it is a very clear difference when I come to my PlayStation that I'm going to get somebody spending a lot of money to make me happy. Versus on the Xbox, I'm seeing a lot of money being spent to grow my experience beyond my Xbox. Which is, I mean, fine on both parts. I don't really care who gets the money. I just want my experience to be where I want it to be at all times. So I think that there's a lot of innovation to be had. And Square Enix, hopefully this is a very good turning point for you guys. Still mad about y'all selling off the Tomb Raider and all that good jazz. I feel like those were great games, but hopefully.
The My bad. Another takeaway from that is, so Japan, they don't do big layoffs like you see in other countries as often, because
Mm-hmm.
how Japanese law works, the whole company has to justify, like, the company is going to close down if we don't do these layoffs. So you won't see um, employees being laid off to reach like quarterly goals or something like that, unless the company is actually going to close, and then you might see like layoffs. That being said, because of how international law works and companies being based in the US or based in Japan, there are workarounds. So like Microsoft, normally they couldn't just close all of GameWorks, but Tango GameWorks was technically an American company in Japan, so they closed them all. Same thing with Square Enix. You won't see any big layoffs at any Square Enix studios, but the Square Enix studios that are in the US and in Europe, those are seeing big layoffs this week. So you see other people, they might not be directly in development, but other aspects of the business are being laid off in other countries to help compensate for their losses.
Crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Like I said, I think that this is a terrible time to be in the gaming industry. I think it's just a terrible time to kind of, because we're going through a shift, and I don't think people have noticed it, but the shift is simply um, a lack of. It's not a lack of interest; it's a lack of growth. And if when you sit with a lack of growth for a long time, it starts to feel like the innovation and the money you're putting in to try to gain profit is being lost ridiculously. So if we're not on a crazy growth spurt like we were from between 2014 and 2020. Um, it's going to start to take an effect on everything. So that's gaming cycles, everything. Even the bigger games, they're probably going to see some impact, like we saw with Naughty Dog and Santa Monica. I don't know if we saw it with Santa Monica, but we definitely saw it with Naughty Dog. So I say all that to just say that, um, I think understanding where we're going will help us navigate through what this is. Um, and I don't know who knows where this is all going and where this will end and where this will end up. Everybody is in their own world. People are doing VR, people are doing AR, people are doing just standard gaming and trying to innovate in that space. But technology is so fast, so it's just so fast and moving in a speed that you just can't keep up with. And you can't forecast to that. We don't know where we're trying to end up. So I think once we have that vision and that understanding, I think a lot of this stuff starts to become a lot more predictable. But right now, everything just seems all chaos. So stay safe. That's all I got for that. Anything to add or to discuss before we get up out of here?
Nope, but I'm gonna ask y'all what's y'all gaming forecast looking like, what games y'all playing rest of this month. For me, probably a couple free to play games like Multiversus, if they actually are releasing soon, and Hellblade next week, I think.
Yep.
But that's short. But I think I'm gonna enjoy it. But it's gonna be like a 6-hour game.
Yeah.
But what about y'all? Put some time into Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Final Fantasy, and I'll probably play some ahead.
Yeah.
Get
We need.
I might dabble to what's that? Star Wars Jedi Survivor, maybe, but probably not likely. So.
Yeah, man. He decided that it wasn't right for him, and that's understandable.
No, I ain't say that it wasn't right. I said that I don't feel like playing a similar game that is literally just a continuation of something that I've already played Granted, they add new gameplay aspects, but don't change too much of this, or not change too much. Don't have a story that I'm super invested in playing,
Gotcha.
exploring.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to
What
it,
about
but I just want a different taste.
yeah. Well, you want a different taste, that's fine. What about Ghost of Tsushima?
Get to it when I get to it. I pick Final Fantasy.
I get to it. I get to
All right, it's
it. A
time for
man of the
Final Fantasy.
people. Say that again.
Oh yeah, it's time for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I think for me, I'm still beating Lost Crown. Probably gonna still play that for the next couple of days. I definitely want to try to get some sessions in, or a session at least, of Helldivers 2, to kind of show Jalen the ropes. Hopefully, we have a successful session. It's not boring, but he need to go play the training anyway. Yeah, it's not gonna take that long, like 15 minutes, but just to kind of get a feel of getting on the ship and checking out all the weapons and all this stuff and what you got to do, so that when we get on,
the
you're
tutorial's
ready
not
to
that
jump
long,
down.
actually.
Yeah. The tutorial is like 6, 7, 10 minutes. It's not that long, but just so you can have like some understanding of it, I guess. Yeah, I
Last
think.
little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Square Enix, if they would have just unbanned my Final Fantasy 14 account, they'd be rolling in the moolah. But they ain't want to unban me, so I mean, they can suffer.
They can suffer. Yeah, you
All
take
they did is had to unban your boy. I even sent them a well thought out.
Yeah.
I love y'all, and I want to give y'all some money. Unban me.
JVZ at least what 13% of their profits. He could have been 13%. Y'all could have been a little lower.
Hey, they could have been up, man.
They could have
If y'all
been
hearing
up.
this, it ain't too late. Or if y'all reading this, the audio logs, the closed caption of this podcast, it ain't too late.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like they all their games are just spread out. Like come on, man. How did you think that was a good idea? Why would you even think the Final Fantasy VII game that everybody loved, that probably have split off into different, I don't know. I went back to Square Enix, my bad. But they I just feel like they just don't understand the cult following behind Final Fantasy, and nobody wanted to buy a PlayStation 5 to just play that game when you could have just I'm pretty sure they could have made a ton of money. A ton. That would have been the smartest thing that they could ever have done, is to just say, enough is enough, Sony. We need it everywhere. But I think Sony saved them when they did the 7 remake. They was desperate. But anyways, that's all. I don't want to go over time because then I won't be able to put it on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you as always. If you got to this part, you're the true OG. Go out and check out a bunch of games. Go play something. Go chill with the family. Go get out the house. I don't know. Go to a beach. There's a pretty good time out there. As of now, you can go get something done. Just go experience something. I feel like that is really the key right now. Is I'm just trying to experience something fun, enjoyable, capture some key memories. That's what you're looking to do. That's the assignment this week. But yeah, appreciate you guys listening. Hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you all next week. Peace.